So, this is a list of the books I read for the month of March. March, not really necessarily a good reading month for me, got off to a slow start and whatnot. It began with two very small books I got for free from the Ann Arbor District Library. First one here is Polar Bears and Other Arctic Animals. Basically, just a fascinating, quick read of polar bears, their capabilities, and man, they're a terrifying beast. Also, how other Arctic animals stay alive. The Biggest Animal Ever. This was actually clearly aimed at very young readers, but yeah, I busted out at work. Hey, whales fascinate me, especially the blue whale. It's big. So, as some of you know, I work at the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services building, and I try to get to know the professional literature. So, I read this Children Who Shock and Surprise, A Guide to Attachment Disorders. It's really not comfortable knowing that how trauma experienced very young can actually stick with people their whole lives. Cross cultural adoption. This book is actually aimed at two audiences: those who are thinking about adopting, and those who maybe have a friend or family member who's adopting, and they want to know how to help them, what to refer to the adopted children as. Again, I want to make it clear, not interested in adoption, but yes, this is a thing at the building I work at. Children with prenatal alcohol and or other drug exposure. Uh, yeah, children who are conceived and their parents are abusing drugs, they can have some negative health effects. The good news is that most will actually grow out of that. Tales from the Haunted South, Dark Tourism and Memories of Slavery from the Civil War Era. So, those of you who know something about ghost hunting or paranormal investigation or ghost tourism, those stories you hear about, oh, this location was once part of the Underground Railroad, and or this location is haunted or built on an Indian burial ground. Almost all of that is complete and utter garbage and lies. But does it hurt anybody? This book actually makes a very good argument that it does, although it's written by a historian, not a philosopher, so it would be interesting to get a philosophical take on that. UFO encounters, sightings, visitations, investigations. I'm part of a paranormal meetup group, and the ufologists, that's people who are into studying UFOs, they're having a moment now with all the sightings in the sky and the intrigue with the balloons. Mothman and Other Flying Creatures of the Midwest. Actually met this author in the month of March. I read this book knowing that she was scheduled to speak. Interestingly enough, the book I got off of Amazon was a used version. Why does for witching excuse me. Why does for witching This is actually a very odd book. It's a horror book, supernatural. Uh Basically this house is kind of was cursed by a matriarch who's like the great great grandmother of the protagonist. And the author has a very weird style of writing. Perspective shifts, and you don't necessarily know it's shifting. Now, as you read, you realize the author does have a device for letting you know perspective is about to shift, but it can be tricky at first. Overall, though, good read, tore it up in 2 days. Where Monsters Hide. This is my first book by William Phelps. It will not be my last. This is a good writer. Also, too, very prolific. And this is about a murder that happened in Michigan and also Indiana. Rainfall of the Lake Country for the Last 25 Years by Mark Jefferson. Don't know how I got my hands on this. It should probably be in the archives, but it was just out in the faculty section of Halley Library, so I grabbed it and read it. Freemasons for Dummies. The For Dummies series always does it for me. Even topics that I'm not interested in, they have found a way to make entertaining. And I work with some Freemasons. So wanted to understand that from the cultural aspects. Thank you.